Did it go wrong when Trump spoke about Iran and nuclear? Because he said, I'm trying to remember the quote he said about
if it was up to the king, he would have agreed with me.
Yeah, well, the king agrees more than I do about them not having a nuclear bomb. I mean, that's a sensible thing to say. No one wants Iran to have a nuclear bomb.
Given how worried everyone was about how this trip was going to go, and would the president embarrass the king on the scale of things he said, pretty low.
Yeah,
for all the things he could have said.
I think so. This was a diplomatic trip, and diplomacy happens behind closed doors, not in these kind of Q&As and making speeches about Iran. And there was a really interesting bit on the final day when Trump was saying goodbye, and he said he's great. He's the greatest king ever. I was waiting for that line all week. He's got to say he's the greatest king ever. But it went smoothly. It went smoothly. It didn't go smoothly for Harry. He wasn't here, didn't come over, didn't make any noise. Yeah. Trump will continue to criticise Harry. Do you think that's uncomfortable for Trump to, he is the king's son, after all, but he's been quite disparaging. Prince Harry, not you.
Yeah.
He's hit out him saying, there was an interview with my friend Robert Hardman at the Mail.
Yes,
saying,
and he said,
boy, that wife of his, what she's done to that guy. And then I think it said to a British visitor earlier this week, can you take him back? Talking about Prince Harry. Do you think that goes down well with the king?
Look, it's tricky, isn't it? I mean, Harry, obviously, I think in any other circumstances, look, Harry going to Ukraine on the eve of the trip, fine, do it, right? Go and do your Invictus stuff, great. Go and talk to troops, brilliant. Don't lecture the US president about leadership.
Right.
This is exactly what the late Queen meant when you can't be half in, you can't be half out. That intervention was in direct contradiction to the agreements that made in the Sandringham deal. Like, go, but be quiet. So I think if that had come at any other time, I think they probably might have given him a bit more of a slap. But I think they just didn't want to give it the oxygen of criticising it. He was clever enough to keep quiet for the trip. Kinsey, I know who's joining us in a moment, has a theory that if it had been William here, then she would, it would have been very different. But there was one piece in People magazine, the latest vessel of choice for Meghan's wit and wisdoms, or that of her friends. But it wasn't like that. He was clever enough not to mess with the visit.
It feels like Trump has got the king, or feels like he's got the king's back in many ways with his wayward son.
I think so, and also, Harry and Meghan aren't as popular here as they once were. There's a bit like, who are you people? I mean, the problem is that the problem that Harry and Meghan have got here is that, fine, if you're either royal or you're not, right? So why were we listening to his witterings on Spotify and Netflix and watching her make jam? It's because people want a bit of royal razzmatazz. But then she goes to Australia and they start saying, don't call me Duchess, call me Meg. Call me Meg. And it's like, well, no. What's the point? If you're Meg, you're just Meg. You're either the Duchess or you're not. So they're in a real quandary at the moment. And you know what? Their decreasing half-life is incredibly rapid. And I think, they would have been sitting in Montecito, steaming, I suspect, watching all of that glory, all those glorious scenes. And
do you think? Because I have a theory that the later engagements on the final day, and also New York. We went to New York, we went to 9/11 Memorial, and to Harlem, and to all sorts of great
stuff. And
went
to Sarah Jessica Parker and Lionel Richie.
But the charities, the King's Trust charity that the King went to there with Lionel Richie, and all the events they went to, the community events, they showed to the American people, or I think they were hoping to show to the American people, this is actually what the royal family do. Not appearing on Netflix. Not slagging off your family.
No, exactly.
How did that go down, do you think?
Well, I mean, that's what goes back to my point. I think they would have looked at that and gone, I would think it would have grated because, it's not sitting there making here's how to make a, charcuterie board out of, whatever sustainable ham, whatever it was she prattles on about all the time. No, I thought Virginia was really cool, actually. Obviously, the Commonwealth of Virginia was where the revolution started, right? And to see them queuing around the block, lines. I got told off for saying lines. I've been in America too long. Queues round the block to see him. Hundreds and hundreds of people turned out. I think there was really nice images. There was a lovely story about the Royal Advance team because they were driving to Shenandoah, which is a couple of hours up out of town, national park. They had to find a gas station, petrol station for your.
Oh, thank you for translating.
they had to find a gas station for the king or the queen to have a comfort break. And they found this woman, this Virginian woman, who, when they said, well, we need special visitors coming, and apparently she burst into tears when she found out that the King of England might
use her throne,
to put it so delicately, and was so overwhelmed that she sobbed.
I was astonished. I was hoping for more walkabouts. I was hoping for more engagements.
That was the security thing. So
the security
that was the
issues
problem. I mean, obviously, Trump's security is obviously mental. This is the third assassination attempt on him in as many years. On Saturday night, the Ring of Steel is, it went up properly, and it was even bigger than when Bibi, or even bigger when Zelensky's in town. You couldn't really get within 3 or 4 blocks of the White House. So that was, you can kind of see why they had to do it. They had to do the same at Windsor, right? They couldn't have the carriage ride through the streets of London.
No, we landed on the Windsor Castle
That
lawn.
wasn't because of the protests.
Yeah.
That was genuinely because they could not protect him.
Yeah.
It is there is a near constant daily threat to the president's life. So it was all quite sterile. And yeah, they put 1,000 people on the South Lawn, but they weren't like punters. They were they were journalists and things. So I thought Virginia was important because actually it was the only time, and obviously Trump wasn't there, it was the only time they could really get out and meet real Americans.
Tangible benefits, because we're talking about, the renew and reaffirm the special relationship and show off the royal soft power stateside. There was a whiskey deal.
Hell yeah.
Is that something to celebrate? There's just
Yes.
one little whiskey deal?
No, but this is seriously important.
I have to explain it to some of the viewers or whatever. So Trump announced it on Truth Social, just as the King and Queen were leaving. He said that the King and Queen got me to do something that nobody else was able to do. You could explain what it means. And then I was actually surprised that the palace then issued us a statement, because Trump might change his mind tomorrow, saying that the King sends his sincere gratitude and he's raising a dram to the President's thoughtfulness and generous hospitality.
I think the Buckingham Palace putting a statement out makes it much harder for the King to change his mind. So quite clever bit, quite deft move there.
Just some quick questions for you.
Do you want to hear any more about whiskey, or should we?
I feel like I need some whiskey after listening to that. But just some quick questions. Do you think that the King succeeded in saving the special relationship?
I think the special relationship is deeper and stronger and broader than any one individual, but by God, did he do a good job pointing that out.
Is Trump genuine in his love for the King and the royal family?
Yeah, I think so.
And is Charles genuine in his friendship towards Trump?
Put on a good show.
Do you think this will help? Do you think Charles has helped mend the Trump and Starmer relationship?
I think the Trump and Starmer relationship is fairly balked as it is. I think once the president decides that you're a loser, you're a loser. Look at what happened to Theresa May. I think that was going to take some building. I think Donald Trump's looking at the same polls we're looking at.
Right.
He's a ratings guy. If he thinks you're a winner, he likes you. If he thinks you're a loser, and he thinks there's no point in, he thinks you're not going to be here in a year's time. What's the point of mending that bridge?